Servus and welcome to another episode of the Pro Hockey Pod. Consistently been getting them out once a week right now, so pretty happy with that. This week, we're joined for somebody that I met when I got into coaching. At the time, he was working for the DEB, the German national program, and now he's transitioned to the pro game, taking his hockey mind over there and helping develop young guys, but also some older guys who are looking to make the push up to the DL2. Welcome to the podcast, Marius Riedel.
Hey, what's up?
Got
Good,
the,
good. How you spell my name?
yeah, I got the name right. That's a good way to start the pod off. Um, so normally what I always do to start, just kind of go back to the beginning, where it all started for me. Obviously, you're from Germany. You were born in Germany. Where did you grow up and kind of first start playing the game of hockey?
I grew up in former East Germany, a city called Halle. That's a town where I'm the pro coach right now, and yeah, I started my hockey life in this club and grown up in the city.
And how was it back then for like minor hockey? So obviously, you know, you would have U9, U11, U13, U15. Like was Halle always kind of having that structure and then playing in the top tier of that age group every year, or was it the second tier? Because in Germany there's like, normally like a couple tiers per age group.
Yeah, I started like way too late with playing hockey. First, I played soccer, then I do some other sports, and then I fall in love with hockey. But it was way too late. So I think I was 12 years old, and in Halle at that time there was not even the junior team for that age group. So I just go on ice with like some other kids that were too old for the younger teams and yeah, practice just once a week and started coaching very early. So I started with age of 16. I go with the smaller guys, with the smaller kids on ice, and be kind of an assistant coach.
Okay, so even at that young age, so 16 years old, you're still doing school every day. So you had already kind of had that passion for coaching and working with younger players.
Exactly. It was like I told you, we just had practice once a week, but I want to be like every day on ice. So that was a way I find out that when I help with the juniors, and we had a Czech coach there who was coaching the juniors, and I was his assistant coach, so I could go on ice for every day and yeah, maximize my ice time.
And how was it back then for kind of like practice structure and then like for development, like where, you might have had a very young age, so it was a little different, maybe working on skating and playing, games every day, making it fun, which is really important. But I'm curious in Halle, especially like, was there a lot of skill development being done in your team or other teams that were in the Knockbooks?
Yeah, it was, but it was like a little bit like old school practices, I would call it now. Like I said, there was a older Czech coach who was very experienced, but I think he got his way and he knows what was the major skills that the kids needed. And so, like basically every Monday practice was the same, and basically every Tuesday practice was the same. But although it was fun because he got a good eye for details, and it was a good time for me to learn the basic stuff of the game and of skill set.
Mm-hmm. And another question I had, so like in your experience, maybe not personally, because as you said, you started playing at a later age, but in Hala, were a lot of kids, so like once you get to a certain age, you get into, 16, 17 years old, and then you basically have a choice to make. You either try to go into looking at the pro, like you're starting to think about pro, or some guys who are interested maybe transition to North America. So going to play OHL or major junior in that sense, or even NCAA. Like when you were kind of growing up, like was anyone talking about making those steps over to North America?
Not really. I mean, when you're in a small town and a small club like Halle is and was, then you're looking for the next step, and the next step is to go in a DNL club, for example. So we had a lot of guys, or there are even a lot of guys that are in Halle till they are 13 or 14 years old, and then they're moving to a bigger town, like the next big club near to Halle is Dresden. They have a good junior program, and when they go there, or sometimes we have guys that go to Cologne or Berlin or cities like that. So that's the next step for them. And I think when you're good in a big organization like Cologne or Berlin or Mannheim, for example, then you're looking for the next steps. Then you have a look for North America. But in Halle, it was more that the kids like dreamed about it, but there was nothing like they think about to go there.
Okay. And I noticed here just from your elite prospects here, you were playing for the Halle Bulls back when they were in the fourth league. So were you part of one of those teams that got promoted to the third league, and how was it back then? Like, was their goal always to move up?
Yeah, I was part of the team. I mean, it was a pro team at that time too. There were just a few guys who are doing some jobs beside the hockey, but it was a pro team. But to be honest, I was just in that team because I was a young player, you know. And even at that time in the league, there was a rule like you have, I think it was under 21 players in the team, and I was one of that. So I was just sitting on the bench with the backup goalie and talking about the game and like yeah, holding my stick there. And there was not much ice time. Just when the night, like when the game was over and we were leading by a few goals, then the coach said, "Okay, let's go, Marius." But I wasn't in that team because I was a good hockey player. It was just because there was a rule of the league. I'm honest.
Well, it's we laugh, but it's like that's what it is in Germany, especially like there's so many rules now. Like I saw the Oberliga this year has now made that rule as well, and um I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I think it's great to have these guys on the team and they get to experience, maybe a higher level practice every day, work on their skills. But at the same time, like these guys need minutes. So if your team can't give them the minutes that they maybe need for the game development, then I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I was talking to somebody recently about it, like how to make another solution if there was a way to divide the Oberliga up into one division would be like teams trying to come up to the Del 2 and that are spending the money. And then
Mhm.
you have another side where it would be, hey, let's focus on the development of young German players. Like, what's your opinion on the rules?
It's hard, and the main point is that like the DEL got a rule for young players. The DL2 got two rules for young players, so they have under 24 and under 21, and now even the third league makes another rule. And what it looks like to me is like maybe the three leagues have to talk to each other how we can set the rules that it makes sense for everybody. Like, because what happens right now is that everybody takes players at the same age group, and there have to be a development. I mean, the third league in Germany is getting better and better, but it's like the good teams are maybe on one level, like some of the DL2 teams, but there are so many teams that are like they don't develop so fast, and they could use young players, but we need them too, you know. So what happens is that like we are battling for the same players like in the DEL2, and it's yeah crazy. So when just everybody will talk with everybody, then it makes more sense for me.
Yeah, I agree. And as you said, everyone's battling for the same guys. Like even the DL, it's the under 23 rule, and then Del 2, it's under 24. So these kids get one more year as an under in the Del 2, but still teams will in the Dell will still take them 1 year after their under rule is gone to see if, the progression can continue. And then, how are these teams in the Dell 2 and then even in the Oberliga to say like, yeah, come to our league when you can play in the DL. And that's what a lot of times I think is the misconception is playing a higher level versus playing actual minutes. Is it better to play, you know, 10 minutes in the Dell 2 versus 20 minutes, 17 minutes a night in a higher role in the Overleague as a young kid for development. And I think that sometimes is lost in German hockey.
Of course, and it's all about, like I said, it's all about communication, because we have our junior league is under 20. So then the DL2 got a rule with under 21 players. So that's the first like problem, that the DL2 takes players out of the under 20. So we have to ask ourselves, do we really need a under 20 league? And the next fact is that the league is way too big, because there are too much teams and the quality in this league is not good enough. So why don't we do something like in the third league, you have like a rule maybe under 20. So then maybe we don't need the under 20 league, for example. Then in the second league, you have like under 22, and then the DL, you have under 24, that they take it step by step. You know, you come out of the juniors, you play in the third league. It's a good hockey. And when there are some younger players, I mean, the speed will rise up, and the quality of the hockey in the third league will also be better. And then the next step, you go in the DL2, and it's like naturally, because it's the rules that can bring you there. You know, we had a young guy, a rookie in our team last year. I took him from Berlin under 20 team, young defender, and he decided to go in the third league to our team. What was pretty good step for him, and like the way he developed over the season was just amazing. And now he takes a step to the DL2 to the next team, what makes sense for him, because he got the season with a lot of ice time in the playoffs. Of course, we got some injuries, but he was playing in the semifinals 30 minutes a game. So the way he developed, and now it just makes sense for him to go the next step.
Yeah, and as you said, it's about ice time. So he made probably the proper decision. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Overleague for 1 year, work on my game, prove I can play, earn more ice time. And as you said at the end, you know, he was getting more ice time, and now he's made the step up to the Dell 2. And I think that's overall for most kids probably the better path. But again, as you said, it needs to be a conversation with, you know, all three league managers or whatever. And, you know, what is best for German hockey? Because you look at other countries, you look at Finland, you look at Sweden. Like Sweden has, you know, 17, 18-year-old kids playing in the first league. There's no rule in that league for you need to have these many unders on your team, and they're putting up points because their development through the knockbooks has been so good, and they don't need these rules because these kids, you know when, or the teams know when, yeah, this kid's ready for this jump, this kid's ready for this league. And that's why I think so many NHL teams, especially now, are drafting Finns and Swedes every year. Like the rate for like the past 20 years, like how it's changed is tremendous.
And it's not even just Sweden or Finland. It's in Slovakia, Czech Republic, or like there was a under 18 World Championship, right? And Germany played against Norway in the relegation. And then in the live stream, the guy said, "Yeah, here in Norway, there play 4 players. They even play pro hockey in Norway, and there was nobody in Germany." So we have a lot of rules, but even, you know, everybody have to be on the same page, and I don't think that it's right now happening in Germany.
It's gonna be a big question for that U18 national team next year now that they've got relegated. That was I was there watching some games, so it was unfortunate to see, but maybe it's the right step, or then it kind of opens some people's eyes to be like, hey, we got to change something here, you know.
Exactly. I think kind of like, I mean, in Germany, they win the silver medal at the Olympics, and then we have like top draft picks like Moritz Seider, Tim Stützle, JJ Peterka, and guys like that. I think right now, like you said, maybe we should open our eyes.
No, I agree. But even like, for example, Moritz Seider, where was he playing after he went to Sweden? You know what I mean? Like he didn't stay, and easily could have played in Germany, and he went to Sweden because he felt, yeah, this is better for my development and my I want to get to the NHL, and I feel like playing in this league would help me. So that was, for me, that's an eye opener, I think, for Germany. But we've gone all over the map here. I love it. This is what I love about these podcasts. You don't always stay on script, but back to kind of your path. So you got into coaching in Mannheim. So you were with the U15, U17, U20. How did those opportunities kind of come about for you?
It was yeah, I was really lucky. Like I did my coaching license at the DEB, and then you met coaches there, and there was something like an academy, and they searching a coach for a tournament in East Germany, and they are calling another coach, and he wasn't able to do it on that weekend, so he called me and say, hey, you wanna go there and coaching kind of academy team. And I said yes. So I went there and for one weekend with some guys, and there were players from Mannheim, and they liked the way I coached them, and it was a good weekend. And after that, the president of the club invited me to Mannheim, asking if I want be there for just a week and have a look at everything. And yeah, I ended up on Friday signing a contract there and moved from my hometown to Mannheim, where was a big step for me, but yeah, like I said, I was really lucky.
And I'm sure it was great to, be there every day because obviously the pro team is there. You got a lot of people in those organizations that have played at high levels or coached at high levels. So I'm sure every day you were just, talking to people, kind of picking their brains, soaking things up.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, there are so many teams and so many rings, so many coaches, so many players. So every day you go on the rink, you can watch the practices and talk to the coaches, and it was really great for my development, of course.
And you also coached, I see for the U18 Germany, believe on the women's side. But did you also? This is one question I've never really known. Did you also work a little bit for the DEB for a couple of years before transitioning into the pro game?
Yes, like the job was for the DL2. That's what my boss was like, but basically it was for every DL2 team. But like you said, I was with the under 18 women's team for the World Championships, and also with the under 16 team before I moved to pro hockey.
How was it working? In the Dell too. Like that must be crazy at times dealing with some BS on the side.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was a development coaching job. So I went to every club with a car, so many hours on the streets. But again, like in Mannheim, you see so many different coaches, so many players, so many teams, so many styles of coaching. So it was great to have this chance and get a look at the 14 clubs at this time, communicating with the coaches, sharing ideas, getting an idea of how they want players to develop. So it was really great for me and got a lot of experience from that time. And yeah, then you go to pro hockey and you think, I know what I'm gonna do, but then everything's another.
Back to that job though with the Dell too. So is that like is the DB, for example, kind of instructing you or influencing you, hey, go to all these teams, watch what they're doing, run some practices, and this is kind of what we're preaching in terms of like teaching philosophies?
Exactly. It was like different side of the job. So one side of the job is to rate the clubs into a 5-star program. I don't know if you
Yeah.
talked about this in this podcast, but yeah, there was a job. So I have to rate all of the 40 clubs of the DL2 from 1 to 5 stars. And yeah, the other side was that doing a practice there on my own and showing like how the federation wants to teach hockey in Germany. So how we want to teach skills, how we want to play small area games and get this into the practices. And yeah, that was another side of the job.
What would you say the main focus or focuses of the DB is for German hockey? Like when you were doing this job, what were the main things they were telling you? Yeah, like focus on this with these teams. Like it was kind of, you had your list of things you had to preach every time.
Well, at the beginning, it was about skills, right? Because a few years ago, there was not a very good skill set for German junior players. But from time to time, we recognize that it's not about skills. It's about like how you implement those skills into the game. So like again, I come to small area games, different small area games, how you get the game sense going, because that's what you need when you go to international level, right? We don't need those skills machines right now. We need those players who know when to use what kind of fake, for example, in what kind of situation and when it makes sense. So then it was more like, yeah, we want to play a lot of games to create those creativity for the players and when they know how to use those skills.
And was or is the DEB taking influences from other countries? Like we just talked about how, Slovakia, Czech, Finland, Sweden, like these are countries that have taken tremendous steps in their development, how their national teams are playing now. Like is Germany looking at maybe other countries as well and being like, hey, we like this from this country, we like this from this country, and making their own kind of like recipe?
Yeah, of course, they're like looking for the other countries and how they develop their players. So that's how they build the 5-star program, for example. They also look at other sports like soccer in Germany made nearly the same with the program, and they try to create the German hockey program on the influences they from other countries. But basically, I think you have to have our own idea. It's not that, because you can't compare Germany to other countries, in my opinion, because like just have a look now these days or these months. I mean, we have maybe 3 or 4 rinks in Germany with ice right now, and everybody is doing off ice practices. So I think, for example, I think really practice is good. That's why we're recognizing when I worked for the DA2. We have very good coaches. We have very good practices. Everybody is doing the best he can, but the problem is that, I mean, we are practicing from August or middle of August till end of April, and then we're just doing nothing for a month. And when you compare this to other countries, I think it's different there.
That is a huge difference. Like me, myself being Canadian, like ice is in here 12 months of the year, always. My town in general has, I think, 10 ice rinks. Like not a big, like not a massive town either. Like just like, decent size. But that was always one thing that kind of shocked me when I came to Germany, was because I'd always heard about, German hockey. Lots of people had played there, but the fact that the ice, comes out every year, is that more an expense reason, or is it just, hey, we don't think we need to do it, it's hot, like, I know Germany has some outdoor rinks, so I understand that would bring some complications to keeping ice in July, but is there a reason why they do that?
I think it's just like kind of traditional, because when the season for the pros is over, then we don't have ice in our rink. So for example, that's the wrong way. And I think people are not recognizing that it's so important to have more ice time, not just for the pros, because you need it for the juniors. They need to skate. It's not that you, like in the 5-star program, you need to practice, for example, 4.5 hours a week under 15.
Mm-hmm.
So in 8 months. But what's after that? You, in the summertime, you don't go on ice. And when you compare it to other countries, it's just when you have the ability to go on ice in the summertime twice a week, for example, even you just play, but it will develop your players so good, and you can focus on other things in the summer times, doing hockey schools and stuff like that. I don't think that it's about money or that it will be too expensive, because there are so many clubs in Germany that are spending so much money on like senseless things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk to the city and talk to the players and other organization, I'm sure there will be a way to get the money for this. But I think it's a traditional thing.
Hopefully it can change, because in my experience, like whatever I was doing, if I was playing pro in Europe, if I was playing college, junior, like summers, yeah, like you take some weeks off and then you get back into the gym and training. But it was also, going to goalie schools for me, or players they're going to skills camps or skating coaches. Like these is a time where you really can make progressions on your skills because you're working hard in the gym to get stronger, and then you're transitioning this into your game on the ice. So I always felt like that was where you made a lot of improvements for what was going to happen for the next season. And then during the season, it's about maintaining and improving smaller things. But for, I don't think I've ever talked about it personally on the podcast, but can you just explain to the listeners the 5-star program and like Germany's philosophy or thinking behind it?
Yeah, it's like I think it's a way the federation wants the clubs to invest in their junior program. So it's about yeah, we have that 5-star program, and the first star is like for under 9, under 7, and under 11. And there are different points in that star. So for example, the big thing is like about ice time. Have the players enough time, ice time to practice? Is there a full-time coach for the players? Stuff like that. Are there some events to for the acquisition of new players, for example, kids on ice days and stuff like that? So that's a first star. Then when you don't have that star in the program, you don't get another. So it's like a pyramid, right? You build up on the next one. So the second star is under 13 and under 15. Again, it's about ice time, it's about full-time coaches, it's about how many players you have in your team. It's yeah, again, you need those points and to get that star. Then it's like the next one is about club surroundings. It's like you have a room for athletic. You have a goalie coach, you have a strengths coach. How much month you have ice in your rink is a big point. So that's a third star, and then it's like 4 and 5 is under 17 and under 20. So when you have everything like very good, then you're a 5-star club. And when you're like for example Halle, you don't have a under 17 and under 20, then you can battle like for the first 3 stars maybe. But yeah, it's the way the federation wants that the club works, like they want them to work. Let's say it like that. And then it's like it's depending where your pro team plays in what kind of league, and then you have to pay some money when you don't get the stars that are needed in your league.
Okay. So a very detailed rating system for each organization. The one thing I wanted to ask about, what you just mentioned, like the third start was a little bit dependent on how long like you have the ice in your training facility, stuff like that. So would the I guess would the average be like, if you have it for 8 months of the year, that means you get this start? Because we just talked about like not many, teams in Europe keep it in. Like I know, for example, in for Hellbron, Bietigheim area, I believe they rotate every summer which one keeps it in, just so they like, share it. Like one summer it'll be Hellbron and Bietigheim will take it out. The next summer it rotates. So like they don't count the summers, I'm guessing, for that star.
Exactly. You have to have like 8 months of ice time in your home rink, but I don't think that's enough. So because when you start at middle of August until middle of April, I think that's 8 months, but it's like just not enough. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
8 months is not the right time on ice, because like I said, and then you have 4 months without ice, and I think there's a lot of potential for development.
No, I agree. And we just touched on that. Um, definitely feel they could be doing a bit better there. And there's so many possibilities that could happen in those summer months if they were to keep the ice in. Back to you and your career. So after working for the Del 2 there, DEB as well, you went back into the pro game. You're coaching currently in Halle in the Oberliga. How did that opportunity come about? Like, were you working for the Del 2, doing all this traveling, running these practices, and just were like, hey, I'm ready for this. Like, I'm ready to go to the pro game.
Yeah, it was like I said, the job for the DL2, the development coaching, was pretty exciting, and it was good because I can have a look at so many coaches and practices, but you don't have that daily business with the players. You know, you're not coaching in games, you're not talking to them, you're not thinking about practices every day. And I just thought that maybe it's good for my development also to get in those daily business again. And yeah, I get a chance for my home club because the sports director asked me if I could imagine this. And I thought about it a long time, to be honest, but it was definitely the right step for me because I love it to be in the rink every day, to be in the locker room with the guys, to talk to players, think about tactics, think about how to treating different situations. And yeah, it was a great season.
And what are your um like teaching philosophies, I would say? Because as we talked about, like the overleague, you definitely have and especially now with that rule coming in, you'll have more. But like you and Hal, I feel like you have a good mix of older players and then also like younger middle-aged guys who are still wanting to get better. So like how are you as a coach? What are you focusing on daily with these players?
Like I said before, it was my first real pro job. So of course I thought about how I want to coach, how I want to be as a coach, how I want to practice. So yeah, we started the way I wanted, let's say it like that, even in the practice camps. And there are a lot of small area games and different kind of situation, different kind of drills. But then we started in the season and we got a lot of injuries. So I think we played 3 or 4 weeks with just 10 to 12 guys on the roster and in the lineup. And then we have a schedule that was just like awful. So we had like 56 regular season games, what's quite a lot. So we played a lot of weeks. We played on Friday, Sunday, and then Tuesday again. And then you have to change anything. So when you recognize you have so many players, then you can't practice like the way you want to practice. When you have so many games, of course, your schedule for the week is another than you when you just play on Friday and Sunday. So I have to make a lot of adjustments over the season. What was really exciting, and I learned a lot of it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And so when you're building your team right now and how like what are the types of players you are looking for and like how do you structurally like to build your team? I know you work together with the GM there. I believe his name is Kai. And like are you guys talking daily on the phone being like, hey, this is how I see the team, this is the kind of team I want to play like, and he's going out talking to agents and trying to find players, or is it a mix of everything?
Yeah, like we said before, there's a new rule for the next season. So we need a few younger players. I think it's good that I worked for the juniors for a long time, so I know many players. That wasn't a big problem. So then you are allowed in our league to have 3 imports, and of course you want to have like really good ones. And then we just think about what kind of players we need and what was missing in the last season. And basically, like I said, in the last season we got so many injuries, and that's a big point. We build on our roster, so we want more guys there, and of course we will become younger, even because there's a rule. And yeah, like you said, of course my GM, we are like having phone calls 5, 6, 7 times a day. So it's just like you get emails from agents or calls, and then some player names come up. Then we have a look on them in the internet. We'll see if they fit us or not. That takes a lot of time, but yeah, our roster right now is ready, and so the big job is done, but it was a lot of work.
One other question I had about that, because you just when you were talking, it made me think of it. I know it'll vary from club to club, and that's totally fine because some of these GMs have full-time jobs elsewhere. Some of them are full-time hockey GMs. That doesn't matter for this point. But would you say you have, I know you said you and your GM would talk, multiple times a day about
Mhm.
everything. Would you say also that you would meet maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, sit down with him, yourself, maybe your assistant coach, and then maybe like some of the board members and kind of give updates on this is where we are, this is where we want to go, this is what we're thinking for this, just so that everyone is kind of in the same loop of they know what's going on?
Of course, it's very important. Like we have like different opinions, even about players. Or but at the end of the day, we have to be on the same page. And like my GM and me and even the guys who are with us in the organization, like it's pretty good because we are on the same page. Sometimes we have a different opinion, but at the end of the day, we accept like there have to be a decision, and everybody yeah needs to be behind that decision, you know. But of course it's very important that you like every few weeks we sit there with the president, with the CEO, with the GM and me, and just have a look. So where are we now, what we have to improve, what is needed, and yeah, then we go from there on. So that's basically.
I think it's really good. Communication is everything. And yeah, you might not always agree, but at least everyone gets heard and then they can all know, yeah, this is what Marius is thinking, this is what Kai is thinking, this is what so and so is thinking. So I think that's good. Um, what would you say the hardest part of your job is?
What the hardest part of my job? It's a good question. I think the hardest job is that, for example, last season I didn't have an assistant coach. So with 56 regular season games and playoffs, a lot of video, there was like basically no time for something else than hockey. So
Mm-hmm.
that was maybe the toughest part. And yeah, to deal with all those injuries, taking adjustments like in the practices, in the schedule, even in the system. You know, I started like the season. We had preseason games against teams on from our league or even of the DL2. And I started like, yeah, I want to play so aggressive. I want to play aggressive in every zone, and we don't need a trap. We go there full speed and stuff like that. And then after a few weeks in the regular season, you think about, and then it's not about, like I said, you will have a plan. And when it's your first season in the pro coaching, you think like what style of hockey you want to play. But I think the most important thing I learned this season is that you have to be like, uh, how I say it, you have to be ready for adjustments all the time. It doesn't matter if there's a game or if there's a practice or in the season. Like you don't have to be so hard on one point or on your major things there. You have to talk to the players, and that's what really was a big point for me this season. I talked a lot to every player, and of course the experienced players, and just asked them for their opinions. And then, like, you know, building a big picture, because what was important is that at the end of the season, we are like want to go to the players, and we try to promote to the DL2. Didn't made it off the end of the season, but it was good, and that's the main goal. You know, we want to go one league higher, and it's not about me or my goals. It's about the goal of the organization.
Go back to communication again. Like normally I think you have, if you have an assistant, like he's kind of that connection between the coaches and the players. You know, he's the guy that's communicate with them daily. But it's good that you speak to these players because, you know, at the end of the day, they're the ones playing the game, but they may see it a different way than the way that you maybe want them to play. And like you said, you have to be able to adapt. That is ice hockey. If nothing's always going to go the way you plan it, it's not never going to be perfect. So it's good that you do that. You know, some people are a little more strict in their ways with that stuff, and I think it might cost them at times, but you know, good for you. I wanted to ask, was it hard for you to work your way up in the coaching world, just given like your playing resume? Like as you said, you started late, so you didn't really have, you know, the chance to, I would say, like other kids where they started playing at whatever it was, 5, 7 years old. So they had been playing a long time before you really got involved in hockey. But now that you're coaching, like, was it hard at times, like when you're talking to people and they'd be like, well, you you didn't play or you didn't coach here kind of thing?
I think in Germany you can't plan a coaching career because there are so many things that can happen or might not happen. And of course, I wasn't a pro player or didn't play hockey for such a long time. But like I said, I started like even it was a assistant coach for a very small junior club, but I started with 16. So I have like so many years of experience in coaching. I know how to teach skills. I know I worked with under 20 team for a time. When I worked in the DL2, I was able to go to every DL2 game I want to go. So I watched so many games, different coaches, and when you can just sit in the seats and have a look at, you don't care for the game, you can watch so many aspects of coaching, of hockey, and yeah, that was pretty good for me. But at the end of the day, it's all about like who you know and who knows you. You know, when I'm sure I will not be a coach from Saarlouis Halle if I wasn't born in this town, because they would just not care for me. So it's all the time. It's about who you know and who knows you in a small country like that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The English saying, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's so true. But I think also like for Hala, for example, like they, being that you're from there, they would know, okay, this guy has a passion for the city. He wants what's best for the city and this team. He wants the same things we do to go up. So I think, you know, does it benefit you being from there? For sure. But at the same time, you have worked in other organizations, you have been doing skills coaching from such a young age. And that's, I've said this to people before, just because you've played 10 years of pro in a high league doesn't mean you're going to be a good coach. Like there's, some guys who played and then go into coaching, they have no idea how to coach yet because they're starting that's part of their life. So it's like starting from scratch. This is what you need to do every day. You need to work on skills. How do you teach those skills? What if that guy can't do that skill? What's the next plan? And I think, especially in German hockey, I've just noticed in my time that sometimes that is lost, where it's, yeah, we're just gonna hire him as an assistant. Why? Well, he played a long time for us.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? Like it's like, you know, but that's another topic. But
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes I'm in the same, like sometimes I see that like big clubs are hiring assistant coaches and they played pro 1 year ago. And I say, wow, okay, he was into coaching before. No, but he was a good player. And I think, okay, like he ever opened up a video program and is he able to tag those games? No, but he will learn it. And I think, okay, that's a spot maybe another coach or a young coach is looking for years, and then the player becomes it. Well, doesn't mean that he will not do it good. I mean, there are so many players, they come out of the pros, but they think like a coach before. When there are different type of players, but you have those players, they seeing the big picture pretty good when they are playing. So when you're into it, and I mean, as a pro player, you have some time in the week, and when you develop yourself, even in that time, you can be good. But sometimes it's all about names. That's true.
yeah, no, and it's, as you said, there's stuff they can learn and there's stuff that probably will take some time. One person that I just kind of shocked me with how good he was at adjusting to everything, and he's made such a quick jump up. Quick shout out, hope he gets on the podcast one day, is Alex Soltzer. Like I obviously worked with him in Krimichow, and he had just retired. I believe it was 2 years before, maybe two, I think 2 or 3, and had started doing stuff on the side. Then immediately jumped into coaching in the Delta 2 halfway through the year. Jumped in like it was he'd been doing it for 5 years, and then now he's in the DL and he's working. He's assistant coach for the national team. So like there are examples of guys who can do it really quick, and I think Sulzer, he has a really good mind for it. But on most occasions, it is a kind of learning process. But again, those top clubs, when you have maybe 2 assistants or 3 assistants, like then you can afford to do that. But some teams with only 1 assistant, it might be tough. But um, what is your ultimate goal? Like, what's your personal goal that, in 10 years, I want to be here?
It's like I don't have that big goal because I just wanted to develop myself. Like that's my daily goal, to get better every day, to get my team better every week, and I hope that like in 10 years I'm still working in hockey and don't know in what position. Like I'm can imagine other jobs too. Right now, I'm a pro coach, but uh, when I'm not able to do pro coaching, then I go back to the juniors. To be honest, it's like I don't want to be a pro coach, or I don't need to be pro coached my whole life. So I just want to develop, getting better, and then I will see what happens. So 2 years ago, I can't imagine being a pro coach. So 10 years is a long time, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I just like what you said there is for you, you don't care. If I'm coaching pro, great. If I'm in the knockbooks, also great. Like you just have that passion for coaching, teaching players and helping them develop. And I think that is basically what you just said. That's what I take out of it. I think that's the most important thing there, because there are people that it's just about, like we talked about with players, it's about the level. How do I get here? How do I get here? I don't care about this. I just want to get here. What's best for me? And instead of how do I help my players every day? Um, so I got two more questions for you. I think I've taken up a good amount of your time today. For anyone listening, so like, do you have any tips for any people listening who might want to be a coach one day?
Mhm. Um, like what I was doing and still want to do is like watching other coaches and like going to other countries. Was in Finland for 1 week. I was before I went there. I was in Mannheim for a week. I was in a big soccer club with Julian Nagelsmann when he was a coach there. I just was there for 1 week and have a look at him. So those experience you take there when you see it's not always about good things, sometimes you go there and think, okay, that's not how I want to be as a coach, but he is like that. It's just about those situations, and I think you can learn so much from different coaches. For me, that's the biggest point.
Oh, it's a good one for sure. It's taking things from everybody, learning from everybody. It's not always good. And then yeah, see what you like, see what you think is useful, build your own plan, as I said, or recipe. Um, so last one, I ask every guest this. You would have heard it if you on the podcast you listen to, but what's one piece of advice, or maybe multiple pieces if you have multiple, that's good too, you would give your younger self? So not saying you're an old guy by any means. I believe you're 1 year older than me, so we're still young at heart. But um, what is some advice you might give your younger 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old self?
I think it's don't take yourself too serious because like you said, I'm a young coach, and when you work with players that are older than you, sometimes you go there in like, yeah, I want to be that kind of guy and I need to be that kind of guy, but sometimes it's just good to take it a little bit more easy, to relax a little bit and uh like building trust for different situations, and everything will work on. And like I have a guy what I was listening to podcasts to, and he is like, sometimes you're just about what happens if I lose my job. And I was thinking about like when I start my job with the Saddlebolts, I was thinking before that, hey, I just take the chance and we'll see what happened. Maybe in November or December I lose my job, but what happened then? I go back to the juniors and work as a junior coach, what is also much fun for me, and I will like take another job. But sometimes then you're in the season and you go from game to game. And we got a situation too when we lost, I think, 5 games in a row. And like for an organization like we are, it was a big deal at that time. There was a pressure, and I was thinking about, oh, what the hell? Maybe I lose my job, because you're like, sometimes you're just in a bubble, but there will always be a possibility and for another thing, and like life goes on. Hey, so sometimes you're doing pressure on yourself because everybody is looking at you, but there will always be another chance. So I think that's a big thing.
It's a great way to look at it. Kind of stress free, control what you can control, enjoy the moment. And, as you said, something will always come up. And that's a good way to think about it, because there's a lot of people that put a lot of pressure on, like you said, if that happens where there's a 5-game losing streak in an organization like Hala where they have big expectations, it's all right, well, I guess I'm done, and then just adds more stress instead of, as you said, don't take it too seriously. Worry about what you need to worry about and control what you can control. But Marius, I appreciate you coming on here. Funny enough, before you were saying, why would you want me on here? What are we going to talk about? And I think we just got a solid hour out of it. And I think it's
I
very
hope so.
knowledgeable. So I appreciate you coming on. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
I have to thank you. Thanks for the chance being here.
Anytime. And for those listening, again, hope you enjoy the podcast. Until next week, cheers and ciao.